afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andres. As we all know, there are various kinds of tourism existing in the modern world today. For example, the adventurous tourism, the weird tourism, the ecotourism, and so on. But have you ever heard about the term LGBT? If you have, then do you actually know how LGBT is related to the tourism industry? Well, if you don't appear to know any of the questions above, don't worry, because this is what I want to talk about today. LGBT tourism, a friendly new chance. Before moving to more details, first I would like to introduce the outline of my presentation. I categorize them into 5 segments, which are the definition of the term LGBT, the features of LGBT tourism, some examples, a comparison between LGBT tourism and ordinary tourism, and finally, come up with a conclusion. Basically, LGBT is the initials of four groups of people, which are lesbians, gays, bisexual, and transgender. These people, though may not be the majority group in our society, but due to the rising equal human rights, they are definitely becoming more and more important. However, what is the connection between LGBT and tourism? Does it have something to do with a rainbow-colored airline? Well, of course not. In fact, there are 2 main features that can be regarded as LGBT tourism. First is traveling to destinations that are so-called LGBT friendly. Nowadays, more and more countries are promoting LGBT tourism to create more profits in the domestic tourism industry. But in order to do so, people in these countries must be open-minded, and the government must guarantee that the rights and the safety of LGBT people are well preserved and well protected inside the country. Second is traveling with LGBT partners. People with this purpose are not concerned about where they go to or what they eat, but who they go with. The travelers may range from small couples to a large group of LGBT friends wanting to enjoy their vacation. As a matter of fact, people now call these kind of vacation gaycation, which means the vacation for gay people. What's more interesting is that LGBT tourism actually is already a trend. This tourism industry includes travel agents, tour companies, cruise lines, and travel advertising and promotions companies who market the destinations to the gay community. And the money which companies earn from the LGBT people is called pink money, or pink dollars. According to a 2000 Travel University report, 10% of international tourists were gay and lesbian, accounting for more than 70 million arrivals worldwide. This market segment is expected to continue to grow as a result of ongoing acceptance of LGBT people and changing attitudes toward sexual and gender minorities. Here, I would like to introduce 2 places that fully promotes LGBT tourism for the past few years. First is the Big Apple, New York, the birthplace of modern gay liberation movements. New York has the largest LGBT population in the whole United States, with an estimated 272,493 gay residents. In addition to the abundant population, it also promotes Marriage Equality Act and gay-friendly environment, which totally attract tons of LGBT people to get married or simply to have fun in New York. Next is Madrid, Spain. Spain has been viewed as the leading holiday destination in Europe, where people are very open-minded. It is also legal for same-sex marriage. From the poster here, where prejudice stays in the closet, we can see that Madrid is the perfect spot to cultivate LGBT tourism. Now, after introducing 2 fantastic places for LGBT tourism, I would like to make a comparison between LGBT tourism and ordinary tourism. I I categorize them into 3 parts: the partners, the destinations, and the purposes. For LGBT tourism, people like to travel with LGBT people. They might be their partners, their mates, or even friends. And as for their destinations, they choose and tend to go to LGBT-friendly areas because going to these places will make them more comfortable. And for the purposes, they may want to social with other LGBT people, or to travel with their mates, their partners, or just to get married in same-sex legal marriage areas. As for ordinary tourism, people can travel with anyone they want and go to anywhere they like, and there are tons of purposes. For example, business traveling, adventurous traveling, medical traveling, and so on. In my opinion, traveling is the essence of life. Every man, every woman, every individual should be able to enjoy it. That is why I call LGBT tourism a friendly new chance, because it is a chance for the minorities to have fun without being discriminated and without being looked down at. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bridget.
Well, that's right, George. You can now find a special link on the Vermont Tourism webpage specifically targeting the LGBT community. Amongst the foliage reports and other Vermont attractions, you'll find gay-friendly events, lodges, and places to visit in the Green Mountain State. Willie Docto runs the Moose Meadow Lodge in Waterbury with his partner and is also the president of the Vermont Gay Tourism Association. He said this is something he's pushed for years. And even though Vermont legalized civil unions for same-sex couples 12 years ago, he says we've been behind the curve on marketing our LGBT community.
We have Montreal just north of us that has marketed to the LGBT traveler for many years. We have nearby Boston and Provincetown that are very popular gay destinations. Vermont was really losing a lot of the market share, especially after marriage came to different states and to Canada.
It's been really neat to have people approach us in person and on email and say, hey, do you really have this resource for people in my community? And we're absolutely proud of that.
And again, the Vermont Department of Tourism and Marketing said they're once again expecting an increase in tourists for this fall. Despite Irene dampening efforts last year, tourism still rose 6% in September and very slightly in October. At this point, officials are expecting we will well outpace those numbers this year. For more information on LGBT tourism in Vermont, log onto our website and look in the On TV section. Bridget Shanahan, News Channel 5.